I'm Tom Finlay. I'm the Belfast Exposed Community Engagement Development Officer, and I am particularly assigned to the Paul Hamlin Foundation Our Museums project. So since January 2014, we've been running a new project in Belfast Exposed, where we've been developing a number of community volunteers who will specialise in facilitating community outreach projects for us. So over the last 6 to 8 months, we've ran a training course with these volunteers, giving them the skills they need to facilitate in the community, as well as helping them develop their confidence as a practicing photographer, working in the community and bringing their skills and their thoughts and views on photography into communities. The main aim behind the project really for us has been about developing a new pool of young, innovative, new facilitators who can go out and really inspire the communities we work with. As part of our Paul Hamlin, Our Museums project, we felt that this was a really important development to ensure that the work that we were doing was having a much wider reach, but also that we could see a scope to develop it more and more in the future, ensuring that we had people and a trained set of facilitators who really understand the Belfast Exposed models of work and the Belfast Exposed philosophy of working in the community, working with the community, partnering with the community, but also bringing photography and sort of, I suppose, the best of photography into those communities.
My name is Jill Quigley. I've been taking part in the Belfast Exposed Volunteer Community Facilitation Programme. So far we've been training, and this is my first time out in the field, so to speak. Yeah, well, the brief, I think shared over a few community groups is Dunmurry Today, so all based in Dunmurry. So I've been working with the Senior Citizens group, and they meet every Wednesday for 2 to 4. I think they do a variety of things. They're doing yoga next week and all kinds of things. So the plan was that we would have a look at Dunmurry Today and their experiences of that, and then after I kind of explored Dunmurry a little bit, they'd tell me about their memories of Dunmurry and how they experienced life on Dunmurry when they were younger. So we started off by going on a walk around the town to take photos and just generally discuss the town as it is today. Then since then we've been looking at old photos that the participants have brought in, as well as the new photos that we've taken, and they've been talking about those, talking about the old photos, talking about the new ones and what used to be there when they were younger. My main aim is to get them talking, and to be honest it's not very difficult because they're a good talkative group. So they've been telling me lots of very personal stories about their own experiences, which has been great because that kind of detail is what makes you feel more familiar and attached to the place, I think. So yeah, getting their individual stories about the place is the main aim of what I've been working on. And so then my photos that I've taken while I've been here will be tied with their descriptions and stories that they've told me.
I think at this point, for the benefit of the reader, we'll take the right-hand side of the village first. After the Stark residence is the Stevenson School. This is a school I attended and left at the age of 14. Next to the house at which one period was Presbyterian manse, but at this time in the 30s was occupied by John McFarland, who ran an auto engineer's garage. Does that sound familiar?
That's the garage of Tesco's.
Oh yeah. Okay. Beside this house was a large corrugated steel shed painted with red lead. Anyone remember today?
Police
Anyone who cares to look up to the gable of Elwood's funeral undertakers today will notice a small arched window, which is all that remains of the original house. Is that still there?
So that was, yeah, it's still there. So what was the house that was there where Elwood's was?
It doesn't say.
Next to the school.
Next to the school.
Next to
Next to Stevenson's school?
Oh,
Yeah,
this is,
Stevenson's.
John McFarlane.
Yeah.
That was Miss McFarland, our teacher, that was her boy.
Oh, I thought that was brother.
All those down. They used to found an old, remember what do you call it? What do you call that place? The found in the back there, backyard. And then it was all bulldozed down. Do you remember? Roy Campbell has the photos of it now. Way in the back of that man's house.
Two old youngsters in that house, right? And was left to their nephew.
Yes.
And Brian just run it into the ground and everybody else. There was no furniture on it. He chopped it up till it expired.
It was washed out with the time of floods. In their time. And then they found this special place at the back. Remember? But it's say it's all bulldozed down now. So they say, like.
That's the Sprouts Park.
So they say, as did you say?
Because I talked.
Do you know the spinster's name?
Go.
There's a bleaching green down there.
The Miss Gauze.
Benburn Road, can you say?
Were they anything to do with
Then that was the big hill down. The big mill hill, the big
I
hill.
don't know the word.
And then Stuart's factory was
Yeah.
up there, isn't that right?
On the mill.
Stuart's Mill.
Stuart's Mill.
It was only a lane.
Should have Stuart's Mill, they should cook and burn that into the apartments.
What was that called, the one down there?
There's-
That mill,
there's
sorry,
our
what was that
Stanley.
called?
Whose mill was
That's the Murray.
That's at the Murray Mill, isn't it?
That's Mill Road.
That's right, that's Mill Road.
That's Mill Road.
That's the Murray Mill, that one.
Three sons.
The Murray Mill.
The Murray
The Murray
Mill.
Mill.
Tommy Bell.
Tommy Bell.
The Murray has a nice big road.
They used to call him the Lord Mayor, the Murray Tommy Bell. They're not
Honorary title. Hi, I'm Rebecca McMaster. I'm a student photographer in the University of Ulster in Belfast, and I'm with Belfast Exposed as a community volunteer. I got involved with the project because I work with Belfast Exposed already as an invigilator in the gallery, and I got to know Mervyn and a couple of the guys, and they give me this opportunity and opened it up to the volunteers. And it's just such a fantastic opportunity. I couldn't not take it. It'll help benefit my work, and it's been such a experience to work with something that I have never done before, which is work with kids. It's fantastic. Well, I was quite nervous at the start because I've never worked with kids at all in any way, and I'm not really that good with kids in general. I find it quite difficult to speak to kids as opposed to speaking to adults. It's completely different, and you need to change your tone and change how you engage with them, and obviously to get them to listen to you and to respect you as sort of a leader role in it was something I found hard to adapt to because I've never been put in that position myself before, where I've been more of a leader and had to get them to do things that I needed them to do. So that was quite challenging for me, just to change my personality a bit to fit in with that. And also communication with the kids I found slightly difficult. I found it got easier throughout the week as I got to know them better and found out what their interest was, and the more the week went on, the more we were able to talk openly and the kids became more relaxed. But I think Sarah helped out a lot with that because she was so naturally good with kids, so it was really good to work alongside someone who already was fantastic in what they do.
So we're going to saturate them
Let
a
me
bit,
know like
okay?
before we get tonight, and
So
I'll
see
try
the
and
way it
type
says here,
something into
master
it.
and default?
So I don't want to put you on the spot. Does that work?
Yeah.
And then while you're thinking about it, I'll go through Kelly's. Yeah.
Well, can I come in?
Is that it? You know, there's all those images we've pulled, like even of the fish and stuff like that. If you can sort of think of anything in your head, you can see on a poster on the wall, let me know, like any words, or would you change any colours, or do you want to make something black and white, or put a bit of colour in?
This is your base image.
Yeah?
And what you'll do.
So say like if I work with Kelly for 20 minutes in her pictures, then you can come back to me and put it into Photoshop.
Megan,
But those are stunning.
So you can include brick.
My own photographic practice isn't really something that would, for those age groups of kids, it's not something they're really going to understand, because I work a lot with portraits of transgendered people and people who are finding their own identity or creating their own identity or their own gender. So I find it quite difficult because I couldn't really talk to children about that, because they're at such a young age, especially because some of the kids were around 10. It's not something they would quite understand yet. So my own work didn't come into it too much, but I was able to help them out if they were doing any portraits, because that's what I specialise in. I was able to help them out with that and help them with composition of portraits. And it was also interesting because we did a lot of landscape photography, so I enjoyed getting away from my own practice and doing something different and helping kids do something different. Well, we did originally go in with a plan. We had a very loose plan because we knew that when we got there, through Mervyn's experience and Sarah's, that it was probably going to change throughout the week, and we'd have to adapt it to the kids and who showed up in the project. So we went in with a very loose idea, and to an extent we did match that idea with our plan originally. So we did go in and we helped the kids pick out sort of the theme that they were interested in. So they put a lot of their own ideas into the project, so they did, and anything they were interested in photographing, we let them photograph, because it was for Dunmurry Today, so we wanted to show what the kids did in Dunmurry. So we have so many pictures of them with their interest with flowers, or down at the Muddy Hill, which is their favourite place to go there, or on tire swings, just everything that they enjoyed, we let them photograph, and it was just such an experience and such freedom for them to be able to do that, I think. There's only so much planning you can do, especially with working with kids, because you're always going to need to change, because kids are so almost hyper. They don't really want to sit down, they want to go out and play, so keeping them engaged is quite difficult. And the ideas are always going to change because they're so imaginative. They're always coming up with things that no one else is going to think of. They just blow your mind all the time with their ideas. It's great. Well, we did so much training before I went out to become a facilitator. We did quite a few weeks training in the classroom, and we looked at different things like body language and how to speak and how to identify yourself as sort of the leader in a group. And there was only so much that could take you. I think we needed to get in and actually do it for ourselves to be able to learn it, because there's only so much theory. You need to have the actual experience of doing it to be able to grow and become a good facilitator. So I'm really, really glad that I did it, and I really hope to develop my own skills with communication and just be able to become a better facilitator. It's something I'm really interested in now. Mervyn and Tom taught us how, so basically they taught us through how to keep people engaged a lot and how to help the group interact in a really comfortable way and make people comfortable together. So they started off in every class we would go into, they would begin by making us do certain things, like to just get us relaxed and to get us comfortable with each other, because we were in a group of people that we didn't really know that well. So he made us do exercises like just jumping around or shouting things out, and we were all engaging with each other, so he made sure that everyone in the group was engaged with a different person. So at the end of the training we all were very close, and there was no apprehension. At the start we were very apprehensive to do the tasks, and then by about day 3 we just did them without any complaining. So I think it's a fantastic way to teach you how to just get along and become more relaxed in a group. And he also taught us through tasks of how to communicate better, so what way to stand whenever you're talking, open and closed positions, open and closed questions, just how to get the most out of the group that you're with, and how to always make sure that the group is listening to you through eye contact, and how to keep them engaged. So if you're doing something, make sure the whole group has something to do, and to show them practically, if we're explaining any of the technical settings, to actually give them cameras and talk them through how to do it on the camera, so they have something physically to do in their hands. And that way they're listening, they're learning, and they're engaging with what's happening in the group.
over the last 6 months, then the group's been involved in a number of training sessions that really push their boundaries as facilitators. And for many of the group as well, it was the first time they were actually facilitating a group of people. That began very much by facilitating among ourselves, and myself and Mervyn Smith, our community engagement coordinator, I suppose teaching or imparting what our models of work were, and also giving the community volunteers a chance for them to inspire us a bit with their ideas, fresh ideas. If you were to do this in the community, how would you do it? You know, what could you bring? What exercises do you know? You know, and together as a group, we spent a number of evenings really just playing with each other, playing with photography, playing with ideas, playing with the Belfast Exposed models of work. That then moved on to the guys working together to then present a session and a full session that they would run if they were out in the community themselves. I always remember that night because it was really hard. For a lot of them, it was like a big jump into the deep end of the pool, but by the end of it, the success of it meant that they then hopefully had the confidence now to go out and try that in a real community. So this summer has been our first chance to get the guys out there and in a community, on the ground, putting their new skills into practice. The great thing about this project was that we were able to take eight photographers, or eight up-and-coming emerging photographers who, you know, have all their photography training and expertise behind them. And what we were able to do was then take those expertise and unleash them, I suppose, on the community by giving those photographers the skills to communicate and to facilitate, by giving them the skills of planning a workshop, by giving them the skills of, as well, working with different groups, different scenarios, different settings. You know, as we know, when we go out in the community, every single group is different. Even with the Dunmurry Project, which is our pilot of sending our guys out into the community, with one group that was an older person's group, which required a completely different set of skills. You know, that required, I suppose, patience and listening, and really, it was more about chatting to the women and finding out about their stories, their thoughts about the history of Dunmurry and about how they see it today through, I suppose, the past, you know, and having the patience to go on that journey with them and allow them to say what they needed to say and to listen to that and then take from that and then take them on a journey of photography based from where they were starting. With the younger group, you need a completely different set of skills. You know, it's a much more high energy adventure. You know, the young people will be coming in there, and it's about, you know, inspiring them. It's about grabbing their attention. It's about calming them down and encouraging them to listen. You know, and it's about giving them the inspiration to then go out into the field and use the camera to say what they want to say about who they are, where they live, you know. And, you know, that, again, that compared to the much more slow-paced older persons group is really, really interesting. And, you know, that was when delivering the training to our facilitators, that's what was really, really important for us to impart to them. Every single group you work with will be different. But the one thing that's the same as you, and what you're bringing to that group is your skill, your ability as a photographer, your beliefs as a photographer, you know, the things that you think that are important about photography. And it's about having the confidence as well as a photographer to bring that out there and to inspire the people you're working with. You know, I think this project has developed for us 8 really strong photographers who are confident about what they do, but also very, very confident about using their skills to inspire the communities to see photography in a different way, and a way that can maybe unleash or, you know, create something that, a way of looking at who they are, a way of looking about where they live that they've never even imagined or thought about before. So we've been working in Dunmurry for quite a while now, and through the Paul Hamlin Foundation, our museums project, we've been working very intensely with them over the past 12 months, and developing with them a partnership that we felt was important for us, and really a strong partnership that was important for them as well. This project then, it's sort of the accumulation of all of that work over the past 12 months, and it's sort of our development on photography and photography infrastructure in Dunmurry. For us, it's been such an exciting project to work on, and we were so glad that we were able to, you know, it wasn't just about one group from Dunmurry, but we were able to find 3 different groups, you know, in terms of, you know, the older people and their views and thoughts on Dunmurry, about sort of those younger teenagers and their views and thoughts, and then the older teenagers. So, you know, with this project, it's allowed us to try and give, you know, a sort of a pencil picture or you know, an idea of what people think about when they think about Dunmurry. The great thing about the Dunmurry Today project is it was very much so a journey, you know, and a journey I think for everyone involved. You know, it was a journey through, you know, well, what do we think about Dunmurry? How could we show what we think about Dunmurry? You know, using photography, using the camera. What are the stories that we want to tell about it? You know, but it was a journey as well for Rebecca and Jill, who were. Their journey was all about, how do I be a facilitator? You know, how do I work with a group? You know, how do I inspire them? How do I plan an idea? How do I get it from the start to the middle to the end? You know, and when we seen that for all of us, it was about learning, because the project was about trying something different. You know, even in terms of, yes, we've been working in communities for 20 years now, but the great thing about this project was, this is something different for us. This is something new and a new way of working, because what we were doing was we were really pushing the boundaries of putting a photographer into the community, and not just one photographer, but in this project with 4 completely different photographers, with 4 completely different concepts, ideas, you know, ways of being a photographer. And it was, how do we put all of that together and then create a journey that has an artistic output, but also has an output for the community itself, has an output for the participants. You know, whether that's about developing their confidence, developing their social skills, developing their personal skills. You know, that has an output for the community, that's about, you know, giving the community a voice, particularly giving maybe the groups in the community that don't always have a voice.
I'm Kelly Delvin, and I've been given a hand with the project, and I've taken pictures around Dunmurry and see how it's changed since from 50, 60 years ago till the present day.
I'm Gary Bloom of the 123 Pensioners Club, and we've been doing this project, and I think it's very valuable, because we are of an age group that have lovely memories of Dunmurry, and they're being lost, and it's nice to record our impressions of how Dunmurry has changed over the years. And I've enjoyed having Kelly here, because she's of a generation that I was surprised at some of her views, that some of the things that we don't like about what's changed in Dunmurry, she doesn't like, you know, and it's such a surprise. You think it's just the older generation that feels like that. Yeah. But I have a memory of this. I can remember this when it was just a field, and the farmers used to cut the hay here and make hay stacks, not the way they bind the hay up now. It was haystack. When we were kids, we used to come here, you know, there's school holidays and play here. And we used to go potato gathering. There was a farm over the railway lines called Duck Gibson's farm. I never ever picked potatoes there, but I did up Dunmurry Lane where the golf club is now. We used to go up there, and then we used to get 8 shillings a day, and then come into the Dunmurry, and there was a cafe where the Progressive Building Society is now, and we thought we were quite sophisticated, you know, drinking coffee. That was my first introduction to drinking coffee, because you always drank tea at home, and then we would have spent our whole 8 shillings in cups of coffee and fish and chips.